When I look back at that year, I still feel the strange blend of chaos and comedy that life decided to serve us. It was the year everything we feared seemed to come true. Yet, somehow, it became the beginning of something greater. It all started in that tired-looking compound on the edge of Lagos, a place that always smelled of kerosene, rain-soaked dust, and fried early morning plantain. Our building wasn't special. 4 flats in a row, cracked walls, a stubborn gate that groaned louder than a tired preacher. But for years, it was our little world. We were not rich, but we had peace. Until the new landlord came. He arrived like a thunderstorm. His name was Chief Adekunle, though he never let us call him that without the chief in front. His first day in the compound, he came in with sunglasses, gold chain, agbada that could block sunlight, and a voice that carried enough ego to fill the entire street. He didn't even greet us properly. He just stood by the gate, hands behind his back, scanning the compound like a soldier expecting new recruits. And then, the declaration came. He said, well, not exactly in words we could repeat politely, but he made it clear he didn't like tenants who looked too comfortable. According to him, people who look too comfortable stop paying rent on time. That was when everything started to shift. In the weeks that followed, he began his new operation, Operation Discomfort. First, he increased rent by 30% without warning. Then, he removed the compound security lights because electricity was wasting. One day, he even padlocked the water tank because someone washed clothes on a Wednesday, which he claimed was against the spirit of the land. I remember my mother whispering that maybe the man had unfinished business with the devil himself, but no one dared challenge him. We were afraid, especially because we knew how Lagos landlords could turn a peaceful home into a nightmare overnight. Still, we tried to endure it. That was until the eviction notice came. He pasted it himself, walking from door to door, slapping each paper against our walls with an exaggerated flourish, like a movie villain. 3 months notice to quit. 3 months to pack up years of memories, to find a new home in a city where landlords demand your soul before they give you a key. My mother cried quietly that night. My father, proud but tired, kept pretending it would all be fine. My siblings and I stayed silent, each of us staring at the flickering bulb that barely held its light. Weeks passed, rent time approached, and tension grew thicker than harmattan dust. The compound became a battlefield of whispers. Tenants gathered in corners to plot their survival. Some planned to beg, others considered leaving early. But there was one person who refused to give up hope. My father. He had this stubborn optimism that used to make people laugh and sometimes annoy them. He believed no problem was final. He always said, delay is not denial. But at that point, delay felt like death itself. And just when we thought things couldn't get worse, they did. Chief brought demolition workers, real men with hammers, cement dust on their shirts, and a small truck full of tools. They started measuring the compound, marking corners, and whispering about a new block of apartments he wanted to build. We realized then it wasn't personal, it was greed. He wanted to destroy the old flats and rebuild something modern that would fetch him more rent. But the timing was cruel. It was exam season for my younger sister. My father had just lost his job, and I was still saving from my small internship to pay for my school registration. We were trapped. The first real drama came 2 weeks later. On a Sunday morning, the compound woke up to shouting. Chief was fighting with the plumber. Apparently, the man had asked for payment before fixing the landlord's burst pipe. Chief, being chief, refused to pay and tried to intimidate him, but this plumber wasn't the usual timid type. He removed the pipe entirely and left the compound in chaos. Water flowed like a small river down the street. Everyone panicked except Chief, who stood in the middle of the mess, shouting threats while holding a plastic cup of garri. It was a sight no one would forget. That day, laughter replaced fear, at least for a few hours. Even in our misery, the irony was sweet. The same man who denied us water now had too much of it. But life wasn't done playing games. 2 days later, something strange happened. Chief's new project, his modern apartment dream, suddenly stopped. The workers vanished, the truck disappeared, rumor spread fast. Apparently, the local government came to seal the site because he didn't have the right building permit. For the first time, he looked human, confused, angry, and helpless. You would think that would humble him, but no, pride doesn't dissolve easily. He started staying in the compound more often, inspecting everything like a paranoid detective. He even accused one of the tenants of reporting him to the government. One evening, he stood at the gate, muttering about snakes in human form, saying the compound was cursed with ungrateful souls. But in truth, the curse was on him. Then came the night that changed everything. It was around 10:30 p.m. when the storm began. Real thunderstorm, not the metaphorical kind. Lagos rain has a certain anger to it. The sky doesn't just sweep, it roars. And that night, it was like heaven itself was angry at our streets. Wind howled. Zinc sheets flew off rooftops. Water entered rooms. And power disappeared like it always does when you need it most. Everyone was running around, moving buckets and securing windows. Then, in the middle of it all, a loud crash echoed through the compound. Something big had fallen. When the rain settled slightly, we saw it. Part of the landlord's apartment roof had collapsed. We rushed outside with torches. The scene was chaotic. His sitting room was drenched. Furniture scattered. His television lying face down in muddy water. And Chief, the almighty landlord, stood there in disbelief, wearing nothing but a towel. The entire compound fell silent for a moment. Then, quietly, my father stepped forward and asked if he wanted to stay in our BQ, the small boys' quarters we used for storing old things. He didn't answer immediately. Pride and practicality were fighting inside him. But eventually, he nodded, and that was how it began. For the first time, the landlord became the tenant. At first, it was awkward. He barely spoke. My mother served him tea through the window, and he would just grunt. But over time, something changed. He started sweeping the compound early in the morning, something he had never done. He even helped fix the broken gates one evening. It was as if humility was slowly peeling away the layers of arrogance. But then, something even more surprising happened. A few days later, some strange men arrived at the gate. 3 of them wearing suits that looked too expensive for the streets. They came asking for Chief. Turns out, he had borrowed money, serious money, to start his new building project. And since it had been sealed by the government, the lenders were now after him. He begged them for time. They laughed. Then, they left a threat hanging in the air. If he didn't pay within 2 weeks, they take legal action. From that moment, Chief changed completely. He stopped shouting. He stopped bragging. He even started sitting outside in the evenings, quietly watching children play, like he was remembering something he lost long ago. One evening, I found him staring at the sky. There was something fragile about him. He looked smaller, older, as if life had finally taught him what he refused to learn in peace. He spoke softly, almost to himself. He said sometimes life leaves the table, not to punish you, but to make you see what you've been missing. I didn't reply, but I understood. Over the next few weeks, something unexpected grew between our family and him. My mother would send him meals. My father helped him draft letters to negotiate with his debtors. My sister even helped him set up a WhatsApp account to manage his tenants from other properties. For the first time, the man who caused us pain started bringing a kind of strange peace. He even called a meeting one morning and announced that no one in the compound should worry about eviction again. He said he'd cancelled all arrears for the year, and he apologized publicly. People couldn't believe it. Some cried, some laughed nervously. Others thought he was joking, but he wasn't. He said the roof that fell on him also removed the pride that was killing him. By the end of the month, his debtors stopped coming. Apparently, one of his old business partners had helped him settle some of the money. Life began to slowly return to order. But the story didn't end there. 2 weeks later, one of the tenants, a nosy woman who lived in flat 2, told us she overheard something shocking. She claimed that Chief had decided to sell the entire compound to pay off the rest of his debts. Everyone panicked again. But before fear could spread too far, Chief called another meeting. This time, his tone was calm, almost fatherly. He explained that yes, he was selling the property, but not to strangers. He said he wanted to transfer ownership to a cooperative society that included us, the tenants. Each of us could contribute small installments over time and own shares in the compound. At first, people thought it was a trap, but it wasn't. He truly meant it. And that's how everything came full circle. Months passed. The compound was repainted, new pipes installed. The once feared landlord became our unlikely friend. And even though he eventually moved out to stay with his family in another part of town, he never stopped visiting. Sometimes he would bring palm wine and sit with my father under the mango tree, laughing about the days of chaos. And sometimes, when I passed by the BQ he once occupied, I could still feel that strange energy, the place where power, pride, and faith collided to teach everyone a lesson about humility. I often think about that session whenever life feels unfair or delayed. Because that story taught me something powerful. Sometimes delay isn't denial. Sometimes the roof has to fall for the heart to open. And sometimes the same man who tries to chase you out will one day need a small space in your life to find his way back. So whenever I see people bragging about power or wealth, I smile quietly, because I know how quickly pride can melt under rain and how chaos can transform into compassion if you just let the storm finish its work. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, hit the like button, drop a comment, share it with your people, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. See you in the next one.